The world's largest ever report into climate change is going to be published later this morning, setting out the stark reality of the state of the planet and the need to cut emissions.
The landmark study by a group of UN researchers will be the most up-to-date assessment of the impact of global warming. Our environment analyst Roger Harrobin has more.
Wildfires blazing through Turkey and Greece. The latest example of a heatwave made worse by climate change, experts say. They warn we'll see a lot more heatwaves as overall temperatures continue to rise. They say Northern Europe will be wetter overall, and floods like these in parts of London last month will become more frequent. At London's Hampstead Ponds, they've already had to raise and reinforce the dams to protect hundreds of homes downstream from the sort of floods expected in extreme rains that are forecast to come. The cost has been huge. We're already paying the price of ignoring scientists' warnings on climate change. More than 200 scientists from around the globe have contributed to today's report. It'll give the most detailed information so far on how fast the climate is changing.
Climate change is here and now. We're already seeing the effects of our warming planet on changes in extreme weather and rising sea levels and coral reefs bleaching and dying around the world. These effects are very, very visible from photographs of glaciers melting, from the Arctic sea ice retreating. The signals are all around us, and the report will set out the latest evidence in great detail.
Political attitudes are changing too. The UK is getting electric cars. World leaders will meet in Glasgow in the autumn to discuss what more to do. Home heating and food production will be on the agenda. In the words of one leading scientist, we're not doomed, but to avoid catastrophe, CO2 emissions need to be cut now. Roger Harrobin, BBC News.
Well, the UK government has already set ambitious climate change targets. So will this report affect those? Let's speak to our chief political correspondent, Adam Fleming. And we understand this really is going to be a stark warning for everyone. Adam, morning to you.
Morning, Lou. Yeah, this is all part of the big build-up to this huge climate change conference that the UK is going to host in Glasgow in November, where every country in the world will be expected to make commitments for how it will reduce its carbon emissions over the next few years so that the planet gets only 2 degrees hotter, or in an ideal world, only a maximum of 1.5 degrees hotter. And not enough pledges have been made to hit those targets yet. So this is a warning about what will happen and what the risk could be if that climate change conference doesn't work. Also, there will be a huge risk to the UK's reputation if they preside over an event that doesn't reach its objectives. But before we even get to Glasgow, there's still quite a lot of stuff we're waiting for the government. We think that later this month we'll get a strategy about hydrogen, using hydrogen to replace gas in the UK's energy mix because it's a cleaner fuel. Very much delayed is a document from the Treasury, which is just looking at the overall costs to the economy and individuals and the government about how to get here. And this is big controversial stuff. And here's an example. Fuel duty, the government raises £28 billion a year from the tax on petrol and diesel. When petrol and diesel cars start disappearing from 2030 onwards, how will they raise that huge sum of money? And how will that change the taxes you and I pay for? So everyone can be very concerned about the data from the scientists, but then once it gets down to policy decisions, it can get much, much trickier.
Yeah, these are really knotty issues. Thank you very much, Adam. We'll speak to you later. Thank you.
Well, meanwhile, wildfires are continuing to rip through the Greek island of Evia as the country experiences its worst heatwave in 30 years.
Thousands of residents and tourists have been evacuated from the region, with the blazes showing no signs of subsiding. Our reporter Matt Graveling has the latest.
Thousands of hectares, habitats, homes, all reduced to ash. With each change in the wind carving a new path of devastation, those who stay save whatever they can. Others pack up their lives and head to the port.
It's like a scene of an apocalyptic movie, definitely, because there is no sky, the sun is red. It's quite scary.
More than 2,000 people have been evacuated from Evia by ferry. Once off the island, miles of smoke show the scale of the fight. And it's this smoke authorities say hampers efforts to douse fires from above. Those on the ground say more needs to be done.
The most people see that we don't have any help until yesterday, and they could save everybody, and it wasn't true. The people don't know where to go. The big problem is that we feel that they let us burn.
France, Germany and the UK have all offered their help to Greece, currently experiencing its hottest weather for 30 years. Scientists warn that failure to tackle our impact on climate change means temperatures and the consequences will continue to rise. Matt Graveling, BBC News.
We're going to be joined a bit later from Greece by people, British holidaymakers, who are waiting to find out what those fires mean for them. Here, almost all remaining COVID restrictions have been lifted in Scotland, meaning social distancing has been scrapped in most settings and hospitality venues can reopen at full capacity. But face coverings are still required in indoor public areas and schools. And Scotland's Health Secretary has warned that the pandemic is not over and has cautioned that cases could rise as a result of the rules being eased.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.